If I can overcome adversity, so can you. If I can achieve my dreams and goals, you can too. Boy, I wish you were there. It was July 30th, 1993. My friends and I, we drove up to my buddy Dave's lake cabin for our annual summer party weekend. After playing a round of golf on Friday morning, we headed back to the cabin to hang out. Rich and his girlfriend Sheila headed down to the lake and pulled the boat out for some water skiing. My buddy Dan went to the cabin to grab the cooler of beer and soda. I made my way down the hill to the dock. I picked up the life preserver. I slipped it on and I zipped it up. I grabbed a set of water skis and I made my way to the edge of the dock. I slipped on my left ski, I slipped on my right ski. Sheila was in the back of the boat, twirling the ski rope and tossed it towards me. The handle splashed down in front of me. I reached down and grabbed it, and as I did, I gave Rich the thumbs up signal. Hit it! Rich slammed forward the accelerator and the boat screamed ahead. And just as the boat started out, I looked down and I noticed some slack in the line, but it was too late. The force of the slack, the tightening of the rope, and the tangling caused me to take an acrobatic dive, coming down head first, slicing through the 4 feet of water, hitting my head on the bottom of the lake. Bang! Stunned but still conscious, my body floated to the surface of the 4 feet of water. My only thoughts were to get my head above the water line and call out for help. Instead, my chin rested against my chest. I was looking around for help, but I couldn't do anything. My body would not move. I recall seeing bubbles and gasping for air, and it was so quiet and peaceful. Beautiful images started passing through my mind. Click, 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 click. Images of my past life, my childhood, and my parents and brothers and sisters, my friends and I playing baseball. Click, 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 click. As I floated away, I ran out of breath. My buddy Dan was slowly walking down the hill from the cabin. He saw it happen. He kind of chuckled to himself. But by the time he got down to the beach, he thought that it was just taking too long. All he saw was his body floating away. He stripped down to his shorts and he swam 50 yards to my body. He gave me a push and I bobbed like a buoy. And with his left hand, he clutched my life preserver and he pulled my head up out of the water. And he saw the blood gushing down the side of my face. And then he looked into my eyes and he only saw the whites of my eyeballs as they had already floated back. Dan shouted, "John, John, wake up, wake up!" Nothing. Frantically, with my body in tow, Dan started swimming back to the shoreline. As he reached the beachfront, he laid me down. And as fate would have it, just a month earlier, Dan learned how to perform CPR. He started squeezing and pushing on my chest and stomach, and when the water started to come up through my mouth and nose, as I regained consciousness, Dan was yelling, "John, John, what can you feel? What can you feel?" I could feel nothing. The next morning when I woke up, an elderly gentleman was sitting at my bedside, stroking his beard. He looked at me and he said, "Son, my name is Dr. Moran, and I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is that you will live. You're in critical condition, but you will make it. The bad news is that your injury will create a different and difficult life ahead for you. You have suffered a broken neck, and we've diagnosed you as a C5, C6 quadriplegic. Your spinal cord has been torn and punctured. With your type of energy, you have no controlled movements from your neck all the way down to your toes. And you've lost the use of your bowel and your bladder. As you can see, I did not die. I became disabled with a journey of adversity in front of me. Mentally and emotionally, I was crushed. My walls of resistance came up. I was blocking out everybody and everything. I was not prepared to accept this new reality. This had to be a nightmare. Physically, I was no longer John Nichols, a vibrant, full of energy, athletic, confident super salesperson. I was John Nichols, a quadriplegic, forced to learn the basic activities of daily living, to learn a new way of life, one with a disability and daily adversity. Over the next 6 years, a miracle unfolded. It was during this time I had formal and informal rehabilitation to help rebuild this beautiful body. I had to relearn all the body movements, from walking to dressing to tying my shoes to even combing my hair, shaving my head. Every day became about daily victories. And over the course of those 6 years, I had regained about 70% of my ability. But the physical rehabilitation really was the easy part. It was the mental rehabilitation that deeply challenged me. Now I was John Nichols, unable to play my competitive team sports. I was sleeping 14, 16, 18 hours a day. I wasn't even able to work full time. I was struggling just to survive the day. Who would hire me? And what would my future hold? And so many more questions. And seeing the counselor helped, although I didn't really enjoy it. Having to relive my drowning episode, facing and coming to accept a new reality as a disabled person was extremely difficult. People have a hard time understanding my situation, my adversity. You can hear me, but not see my disability, my adversity. There is no wheelchair. Yet every day, my body becomes fatigued. The right side of my body does not function normally. I have nerve damage in my right hand, from my hips to my knees, and even my right foot. Adversity can be invisible. It can hide inside of us, on the inside of our bodies and our heart. And adversity can come in big packages, like my crazy, catastrophic accident, or small packages like call reluctance or a prospective client rejecting our insurance recommendations. So how do you overcome daily adversity and succeed in your personal and professional life? Well, the following are my favorite 3 strategies I use to overcome my disability and my daily adversity that has helped me to reach MDRT, top of the table, and succeed beyond my wildest dreams. These 3 strategies work with all types of adversity. However, they only work if you do. And if you do choose to use them over time, they will become a way of living your life. So here's strategy number 1. It's called my pace, my race. My race, my pace. During my rehabilitation, I learned how to plug back into my world, to come home to myself first daily. This is the place of self-acceptance. I accept who I am and who I am becoming. I do have purpose. I have value for others, and I really do matter. My adversity derailed me. After my accident, I looked different. I even felt different, and I certainly functioned differently. I was totally stripped to my core, and I had lost the sense of who John Nichols was. As my psychiatrist said to me, there is this pre-accident John, and there's this post-accident John. And I was trying to get back to the old John. She said to me many, many times, John, you have to move forward and come to accept the post-accident new John. Adversity, regardless of the size, can chip away at who we are. Adversity challenges us at our core, the very essence of who we are as a person. Experiencing and understanding this led me to learn that coming home to myself was my race, my pace. Today, I live trying to be the best I can be with the capabilities that I have. And so here are 3 ideas for you around this concept. Number 1, spend a little time each day focusing on your self-improvement for your health, your mind, and your spirit. And number 2, compare your progress with your previous results rather than comparing yourself to others. And lastly, remember, my race, my pace. Strategy number 2, it's called the Thought Zapper. Moving beyond our adversity grows harder when the excuses win. All of us use excuses, including me. It's a natural part of life. They typically show up first, and it's up to us to overcome them with our thoughts and actions. And the faster you do this, the faster the excuses go away and the more success you will have. One of my favorite tactics for overcoming excuses that helps me move beyond my adversity is called the Thought Zapper. So what's a Thought Zapper? Well, it's this rubber band I have around my wrist. And when the excuses show up, and they always do, I pull back on that rubber band and I zap them away. Well, for example, I like to make 10 phone calls to start my work morning. And there are times I hesitate and the excuses take over. Excuses like, hey, look, I made the calls yesterday. Or, you know what, this first call to Mr. Big Client, they're not going to want to talk to me. I pull back on that Thought Zapper and I zap them away. A few of those zaps, and believe me, you'll be in the right mindset to make the phone calls. My strategy number 3, focus on daily victories. Daily victories are small activities in your personal and professional life that can be accomplished throughout the day. They continually reinforce positive energy, and they build on each other, and they contribute to your longer-term dreams and goals, one victory at a time. Hey, everybody likes a victory. So how do daily victories work? Well, in my personal life, I use daily victories to improve my health. For example, every morning I have an exercise routine, and one of those exercises is a 6-minute plank. Well, what's a 6-minute plank? Well, it's a push-up without the push, and it looks like this. And the 6 minutes? Well, every victory needs a reward, so my cup of coffee became the reward for doing my plank. It takes 6 long minutes to make my coffee in the morning. I can only have coffee after my exercise. In my relationship with my wife, Michelle, I use daily victories all the time as well. As they say, a happy wife is a happy life. So one daily victory I use is making the bed. My wife likes the bed made. So I start my day by making our bed. I even figured out where those crazy decorative pillows and stuffed animals go on the bed. It's a simple act, yet it has powerful results. To keep me on track each day, I use calendar reminders and daily mantras to nudge me along on my activities. One of my mantras is called If Then. If it's 6 in the morning, then it's exercise time. First my planks, then my coffee. If then. So let me ask you, how long can you plank? My plank record is 12 minutes and 38 seconds. And my longest daily streak, 3 years and 21 days. Hey, it happens. I fail. I'm not perfect. The excuses win, but I don't call it failure. I call it faltering. I remind myself that I'm not perfect, and when I do falter, I make sure it's not permanent. Faltering is not failure. So when one streak ends, I start a new one right away, and I call it streaking through to success through daily victories. Streaking to success through daily victories. In my professional life, I use daily victories and the if-then strategy as well. If it's 8:30 in the morning, then I make my 10 phone calls. If it's 7:30 at night, then I read for 30 minutes. By using daily victories and the if-then concept, you can overcome the excuses and your adversity to live a life that is truly life. They will help you leverage your talents. They will help you live confidently with a positive mindset and have a fulfilled relationship with those in your life. Imagine living a life of ongoing personal and professional daily victories, leading to a life of fulfilled dreams and goals and relationships. So let's put it into real life action and see how the strategies of My Race, My Pace, the Thought Zapper, and daily victories work. It was a chilly morning on Sunday, October 11th, 2009, for the Chicago Marathon. There I was towards the back of the crowd. 45,000 people signed up, but only 35,000 showed up. Over the loudspeaker, we heard 30 seconds. We started taking off our runner warm-ups and we were tossing them to the side of the road. Then 3, 2, 1, bang, the starter's gun goes off and we started moving forward on our journey. The first 2 miles were an absolute blur as I was wrapped up in the excitement. My adrenaline was pumping. The huge crowds were cheering. I could hear Bono from the band U2. He was singing, "It's a beautiful day, don't let it get away." And as I turned my focus to the other runners around me, I saw Becky, who was my training group leader and the official pace leader for the Chicago Marathon 5 hours and 30-minute group. She looked at me and she said, "Hey, John, I thought you weren't running due to your injury." I said, "Well, Becky, I changed my mind." I looked down at my Thought Zapper. Absolutely, my cause was too important. My desire was burning inside. The opportunity was right in front of me, and I made a commitment that was hanging heavy over my head and my heart. I had persisted through the 14 weeks of marathon training before my injury. My daily victories led me to this moment, and I wanted to celebrate my personal victory. Becky excitedly said, well, let's go. And for the next 12 miles, I ran with Becky's group. First, it was heading north for 5 miles towards Wrigley Field, where the Chicago Cubs play. And then we headed back south towards the city. And then it was out west for 2 miles as we made our way towards the United Center, where Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls play basketball. And it was at mile 14, I was running and my right leg gave out. And I stumbled to the ground. And I slowly got up, and I could see Becky and the pace group pulling away. And then looking towards the side of the road, there were the excuses. School buses with large signs painted in pink neon. Drop out runners. In my mind, I said, no, not me. I've come way too far. Snap it, snap it, snap it. For the next 5 miles, I shuffled a half a mile. I ran a half a mile. I shuffled a half a mile. I speed walked the other half. I was thinking about my race, my pace, my race, my pace. I got to mile 19, and my right leg just said, no more. I can't go any further. And sure enough, those darn school buses showed up again. You know, the excuses. In my mind, I was saying, you can't finish, your leg hurts. Hey, I could always say, I'll do it again next year. I mean, everybody would understand. And then I shouted, I have to finish. And I gave it a big snap. I made a commitment, and I have to make it official. In order to make it official, you have to finish within 6 hours and 30 minutes. Well, at mile 19, I had 7 miles and 385 yards to go. My mind quickly calculated that my pace would have to average about 15 minutes a mile to make it official and be awarded the finisher's medal. Well, the winner of that Chicago Marathon in 2009 finished in 2 hours and 5 minutes and 41 seconds. The average marathoner finished in 4 hours and 10 minutes. Speed walking as fast as I could, dragging that right leg along. Out of the 35,000 runners, I was the 32,306th runner to officially cross the finish line, fulfilling my commitment and my personal victory. My time, 6 hours, 9 minutes, 59 seconds, and I've got the medal to prove it. You have to admit, that's not bad for a recovering C5, C6 quadriplegic. Thank you.